Hi everyone, welcome back to Kira's Corner. We're here for another tier ranking. I'm not sure when this video is coming out. I don't know when I decided to let it out. So I have ranked Barbie movies in the past, and I've also ranked Teen Drama Boys. That one definitely isn't out yet, but I have done that a couple of times, and I've had to refilm it. I just haven't gotten around to editing it. I have to refilm it again yet. Now again, it's so frustrating. But those are two I've done before. This may be the first one I'm posting. I don't know yet. It's the second one that I filmed. So here it is. Today we are ranking some of my favorite people's work. We're talking about the Olsen twins, Mary Kate and Ashley. They played a large role in my upbringing. Okay, my grandma had several of these, and it was like a recycle, repeat kind of deal whenever we would go to her house. So they played a huge part in my growing up. They are they're not good movies. Okay, let's put that right out there. But they are good movies. You make that work, I make it work in my head. They're bad, but they're good. They're good and they're good. Okay, nothing else to say. Okay, so we've got some tiers. These, of course, we're only ranking the ones I've seen. I can't speak for ones I haven't, and I haven't seen some of the really popular ones, and I'm sorry. Okay, it's just how it is. But all this to say, let's get into ranking Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen movies. Before we start, let's go over the tiers, just so you know what they are. At the bottom, we have Can't Get Myself to Watch It Anymore. These are movies that are actually terrible that I can't get myself to watch it anymore. Sometimes a bad movie is fun, okay? Sometimes a bad movie is great. This is a bad movie that's bad, okay? One up from that, we've got bad enough that it's good-ish. And good-ish being key here. Because it's not quite good, but it's good-ish because of how bad it is. You know, it all works out. Then we have good enough. These are movies that I definitely would watch. They're not going to be my first choice, but I will gladly watch them. Then we have Loki jealous, because I am jealous of the Olsen twins in these. They're great. They're wonderful. Then we have, at the very top, 10-year-old me died, because I loved these so much. So those are the tiers. Enjoy them. Play along if you'd like. Let's get into ranking. The first movie we have here is Off to Grandmother's House We Go. This was one that my grandma had on VHS tape. Oh, side note, Danae helped me with these. She helped me with the Barbie ones for the movies she had seen, and she helped me with these for the ones she had seen and at least remembered. Okay. Sidebar. Back to the video. Off to Grandmother's House We Go is them going to their grandmother's house for Christmas, and then they get kidnapped, and that's all I remember. It wasn't good. I remember back then not really liking it. It was never one that I reached for. So it's going and can't get myself to watch it anymore. It just wasn't good. It just wasn't good. Okay, moving on. Next we have How the West Was Fun. Now this one was quite integral in my growing up. This one was one of our favorites at Grandma's. Again, another VHS tape. This one we have the twins wanting to go to this ranch that their mom had gone to, and their mom's dead. Shocker, there's always a dead mom. But their dad doesn't want to. So they called the ranch, I want to say. They called somebody. Oh, they called their dad's boss and asked for vacation time for him. That's right, because he's a workaholic. And she gives it to the dad and extends it because he's fired. So they go to the ranch. Turns out the ranch is going to go out of business and is going to get bought by the owner's son? Question mark? I think. I'm not entirely sure on that part. I don't know the relation. And he's horrible. And so they want to save the ranch. And of course, they managed to save the ranch. So How the West was fun, but like it's not good. Well, it was good-ish. So it's bad enough that it's good-ish. It definitely was one that we were drawn to, especially in the younger ages. We watched that one quite a bit. I remember the most recent I watched it, I was like, wow, why did we like this so much? It didn't really age all that well, but was a fun enough time that it's not quite the bottom. Next, we have Passport to Paris. I've seen this movie once, okay? So the twins are in middle school, question mark, and for spring break they want to hang out at home and go to some parties and stuff because of cute boys. Cute boys are important, okay? And their parents decide that they're going to go to Paris for spring break. And they're like, I'm sorry, what? But cool, yeah, totally, we want to go. So they go to Paris. Who they stay with? I believe their grandfather. Not again. I'm not sure on any of these details. They go shopping around Paris. The plot is all gone. They meet cute French boys who show them around Paris. I do remember that. So it was a good time, I remember. And it is a fandom favorite for sure. So it's going in good enough. If I remembered more of it, it maybe could go higher, but I just don't remember it well enough. And it doesn't scream super good in my eyes. So Passport to Paris goes in good enough. Next up, Our Lips Are Sealed. Our Lips Are Sealed. It was our favorite growing up. Grandma had this one, and it was just so good. So the twins are in the States, and they're going to high school for the first time, and they're imagining how amazing high school is going to be and how they're going to be super popular, all this and that. They wake up, and it's like, this is going to be the worst day ever. So they get to school, they don't become popular, they become kind of outcasts, and they end up going after school to get hot dogs by a museum. I don't know. And they witness someone stealing a very priceless gem. And they become key witnesses in the trial for this thing. And the criminal was part of the Hachu family from this little fictional country called You're Ugly. It's super funny. There's so many jokes about Hachu and You're Ugly. It's great. So they have to go into witness protection because they will die. They will be killed by the Hachu family, but the whole family is blabbermouths. So they go to all these new places all over the place, and they're like, "Yeah, we witnessed a crime, and now we're in witness protection. Oh yeah, we just put some people in jail. Yeah, that was fun." It's like, no, girls, this is bad, and it stresses out their case agent so much that he goes on a break, and it gets to the point where they're like, "We're sending you to the last place on earth, Australia." So they go to Sydney. And I'm telling you, this is the best thing ever. And they're like, we're going to make this work for mom and dad. We are going to keep our mouths shut. And so they they do. They manage to keep their mouths shut. They do some little scheming to become popular at school, and they meet some cute boys, Pete and Avery. Now, do you notice how I know their names and not Mary Kate and Ashley's? Pete and Avery were childhood crushes of ours. We loved Pete and Avery. They're like some of our favorite boys of all time. But they managed to keep their mouths shut and then also managed to catch Emil Hachu. Spoilers. The ending screwed with us. We were so mad at the ending, but all this to say, Our Lips Are Sealed. 10-year-old me died. I mean, the fact that they went to Australia was amazing. All these people with Australian accents, I couldn't get enough. The boys were super cute. We loved them so much. Oh, classic parts of Mary Kate and Ash movies. You gotta have a montage, usually with all sorts of camera filters. So sometimes it'll black and white, sometimes it'll be oversaturated, sometimes it'll be slow mo. And so there was a jet skiing montage, a classic right there. There's a chase montage scene, classic right there. The two guys that they get to, because obviously the Hetru family has to try and catch them, so they send two guys. They're hilarious. They're amazing. And then there's this whole like interrogation negotiation scene. It's so funny. But it's just so good. Like 10-year-old me is dead because this movie exists. But yeah, Our Lips Are Sealed, one of the faves. Can't get Next up is Winning London. Now, this one, we have the twins. One of them is part of Model UN, I think, and is super good at it. And they managed to qualify to go to London, where the global Model UN competition or something is. And one of the members of the UN team can't make it. She gets sick or something. And so the other sister steps in. She's not a Model UN kid, but she steps in. And so they go to London. And bad things right off the get go. They are assigned, the country that they believe they are assigned to, nope, not there. And so they end up being told that they have to go home, that they're not, that they can't participate. But then they're like, excuse me, we can represent the UK. And so they do. And so they manage to stay. Love interest for one of them is British, and it causes tension. I don't know if the other one had a love interest. I can't remember. It might have been one of the boys on the UN team. And then there's this whole couple thing with another girl and a guy on the UN team. But they go strolling around London. They save the day. Everything works out because it's good. This one is going in Loki Jealous. This one, I haven't seen that often. I've maybe seen it twice. I think I had it on VHS tape at one point, but I had another one. The next one on this list, actually, more. Also on VHS tape at one point, and it is far better than Winning London. So it's still really, really good. I love Winning London. It deserves hype that it gets, but it's not quite. 10-year-old me is still living with this movie, so that's Winning London. Next up is Holiday in the Sun. Holiday in the Sun is, as I just mentioned, I had it on VHS tape at one point. I watched it a lot, and then my cousin got it after ours disappeared. Our copies disappeared and it's gone, but my cousin got it, so all is well in the world. So the twins here, they want to go to Hawaii for spring break with all their friends, but their parents, oh yeah, rich parents, by the way. Their parents decide that they're going to do a family vacation to the Bahamas instead. And so they go to the Bahamas with a family friends, like it's a whole family deal. And so they're in the Bahamas. Megan Fox is in this movie. She plays Brianna Wallace. And Brianna Wallace is a brat, as one can imagine with the name Brianna Wallace. She's hilarious. We love her. There's cute boys. Actually, I realized kind of recently that one of the love interests plays a character on One Tree Hill that I really, really love. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And yeah, and then there's this whole side plot of like criminal things. It's like trafficking of artifacts. I don't know. It's a weird little side quest. Montages are grade A good. They are classics. They are plentiful, delicious, just great. And hijinks are great. Everything about this movie is amazing. It is high saturation. It's Bahamas. It's fun. It's going and 10-year-old me died because it did. The boys, there's 3 boys in this movie, which is amazing. 2 of them get the girl, 1 doesn't. That's fine. Because it's 3 boys and we love boys in the Mary-Kate and Ashley universe. Next up is Getting There, also known as Sweet 16 and License to Drive or something. This one, Grandma also had. And it was one of the ones that got recycled through. So this one has the twins turning 16, getting a car for their 16th birthday, and then them and their buddies decide, or they get tickets somehow to go to the 2002 Winter Olympics in Salt Lake City. And so it is a struggle to get there because cars break down or cars get stolen, then flights don't work out, and then the bus, it's a whole thing. And it's amazing in a lot of ways, and then sometimes it's just like so the characters in this movie for the most part are funny. Toast is by far the best one. He's hilarious. He's super, like, he plays dumb really, really well. And then the The girlfriends are kind of okay. One of them is annoying, one of them is dumb but sweet, and then one they meet is super smart and she's really pretty. And then the boys, one has a big crush on one of the girls or one of the sisters, and I can't remember which one, and she friends zones him hard. It's so funny. And then the other one just doesn't get a love interest, and that's kind of okay. It's going in good enough. It's definitely not quite Winning London, and but it's better than West Was Fun. There are just some ridiculousness in this movie that is like it's just it's pretty good still. Like I definitely would recommend, but of a bunch of these, it's definitely one that I'm not often drawn towards as much as others. So that's getting there. Next, we have When in Rome. So this one has the girls getting this fashion internship at a fashion company or something in Rome, believe it or not. And it's a summer internship, and there are 6 people in this internship. There's 4 girls, 2 guys. The 2 guys, one of the guys is important because he's a love interest. But anyways, the girls get fired from the internship because they make some mistakes, and they end up meeting the head honcho of the company, and they make friends with him, and then he rehires them as interns. And mischief, so much craziness. Because again, there's some stealing and like criminal behavior going on. So it does not age well. The last time I watched it, I'm like, wow, this is not good. So one of the sisters likes one of the guys in the internship. His name is Paolo. He is native to Rome. And he doesn't even like fashion. I don't know why he's there. I can't remember. He just wants to make pizza. And his acting is poor at best. And then the nephew of head honcho man likes the other sister, and again, she friend zones. There's often some friend zoning, I've noticed. That's not the case in the next couple, but friend zone. And that was weird. But it's just it's bad enough that it's goodish. Like, I don't really know what else to say. Like the plot is so paper thin that is really what drags it down, even though plot is like gone for a lot of the ones above. But it's like the acting is just isn't as good in When in Rome as some of the other ones. So it's there. So that's When in Rome. Let's move on. Next up, we have The Challenge. Now, me and Danae found this. I don't know where, I don't know when, but it was recent. Like, it was before I left for college. So it would have been like summer of 2021. So we had never heard of it. We had never seen anything about it until all of a sudden we found it at a thrift store. And we're like, well, we have to get it. It's Mary Kate and Ashley. I mean, come on. And so what it is it's basically Survivor slash Big Brother slash The Challenge, like MTV's Challenge, but for high school kids wanting to get college scholarships. So the fun thing here is that they are twins that haven't seen each other in a long time and don't like each other. So their parents are divorced. One of them lives in DC with her dad, and one lives in LA with her mom. And they haven't seen each other in like 4 years or something ridiculous. And they had no idea that each other was applying for the show and that they got on. And so that's big drama. And so they get put on the same team because, of course, we have to have the drama. And yeah, craziness, silly things happen, and here for it every step of the way. One of the other contestants who's on the other team is a guy who obviously has a love interest, and I don't know his name. All I remember is that when they introduce him, because they do basically like clips as if you're watching the show, The Challenge, and his introduction, the main guy, he calls him, he says he's athletic, adventurous, Abercrombie and Fitch. And that gets me and Danae every time. And it's so funny. the best rule for all of these people is that you can't fraternize with each other, meaning you can't have relationships. And of course, that gets broken. Spoiler alert! And it's a big deal. And then they find out from the other girl. She ends up liking one of the producers, and by producer I mean he's an intern who happens to help out because he's the one that suggested that they bring both of them on the show to bring drama. And so she gets mad at him. And the whole movie, okay, they end up winning. Shocker. I'm spoiling this whole movie because I can't even talk about this movie without mentioning the end. The end of the movie has producer boy telling whichever sister it is that he's never felt this way about a girl, that he loves her. And she's like, I've never had anyone tell me that before. And then out of nowhere, one of the boys from Holiday in the Sun shows up and he's like, what do you mean? I told you that. And she's like, what are you doing here? And then all of a sudden, another boy. And it's a boy that was in Holiday in the Sun and Getting There. And he's like, what about me? What about me? And then there's another boy from Getting There who shows up. He's like, what about me? And then there's one of the French boys shows up and he's like, what about me? And it's, when I tell you, me and Danae we were like speechless. These boys kept coming out and being like, well, and we're like, what is happening right now? We literally died. And for that scene alone, 10-year-old me died. Because it did. All of these boys from the previous movies showed up out of the blue. It was so funny. None of us were expecting it. We were expecting it to end like any normal Mary-Kate and Ashley movie. And then it just didn't. They were just boys. And I was like, oh my gosh, what is happening right now? It was so good. And for that scene alone, it goes in 10-year-old me died. I talked about this way too long. Let's move on to our last one. Last movie is actually the only one that got theatrically released, and that is New York Minute. This one we have the twins, and one of them is a goody two-shoes and one's a rebel, I think, which is pretty normal for Mary-Kate and Ashley. And the goody two-shoes decides to skip school with Rebel Girl to go to this filming of sorts for reality TV, I'm not 100% sure, in New York. And a tardy, like an attendance officer, is like trying to catch them. I don't know. At that point, that didn't make sense to me. But they get into some crazy trouble in New York. They end up crashing in a guy's hotel room who is played by Jared Padalecki, which is kind of fun. And so he's a love interest. And then there's another boy who is like a bike messenger, I think. And he's love interest and he's fun. And I'm pretty sure Eugene Levy's in this movie. I think he's the attendance officer. I'm telling you right now, this movie was so weird and like fever dreamish, but I remember having such a good time. It's going in low-key jealous because it was super weird, but I was here for it 100% of the time. So that's where it's going. That is the ranking. I will now do a quick reorganizing of just what's in each what tier and what order, which will be very quick. And I will bring that final ranking to you. So this is the final ranking. Wonderful. If you have thoughts, please let me know in the comments down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What are ones that I haven't seen that I need to? Things like Billboard Dad and Switching Goals, I know are very good, or at least I've heard that they're very good, and so I'd like to watch them. It's just very hard to watch them anywhere in Canada. We love Canada. So that's this video. Like and subscribe. Like if you did, like if you didn't. It's not gonna hurt you. It's only gonna help me. So do that. Comment anything down below. I'd love to see your thoughts. Comment down below anything that you'd like me to do. I have ideas and things. A lot of it is hard because I film on my phone. But don't worry, camera's on my wish list. And it will happen eventually. I will get a camera. I want to get a camera very badly. But it's not in the budget right now. I don't know when this comes out. I don't know when the next one will. So you can turn that bell on just to be notified when I post, which is super irregularly. But I think that's it for this video. So I guess I'll see you next time in Kiera's Corner,